All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. The book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. It's at Amazon Kindle Create Space. The link will be in the description box below. Working to be a classic man. Um, when you're trying to better yourself, you got to understand it's gonna take effort, and some of the things you're gonna have to do are gonna be uncomfortable. They're gonna challenge you. They're gonna aggravate you. They're going to sometimes make you want to quit. People are going to say things about you, or people are not going to believe in you, and people are going to create adversity in your life that shouldn't exist. But you're going to have to work to be a classic man, or the best man that you can be. We're all born, we have certain gifts and we have certain shortcomings. So the best man you can be is really built in your ability to make your weaknesses your strengths. Because your God-given gifts are your strengths naturally. You're always going to have to hone those some more, but you're going to have to make those weaknesses your strengths. So using when I was younger, I had adversities, still have adversity. So I'm gonna give you some things that I had personally that I had to do. Um, when I when I played sports, I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't, but I worked to be the fastest guy. I was fast, but I made sure if I wasn't the biggest guy, I was gonna get you was gonna have hell trying to keep up with me. So I was the fastest guy. Ran track to add to that. Um, when I ran track, I wasn't the fastest guy at first. Older guys was giving me hell. So what did I do? I worked out with them. I was actually I was a small guy. I'm still, like I said, a relatively small guy, but I was actually very strong. I'm still very strong. But girls used to tell me, "Oh, you look kind of cute, but you're not big enough." So I was like, whatever. Coaches used to tell me, man, you got these skills, but you ain't big enough. If you was 6'1", you'd be a beast. They're like, you know what, coach? I'm gonna get these motherfuckers to business. I don't care. But nothing wavered my confidence in myself, even if people counted me out or didn't. And I was in situations where I probably was the best athlete around, but people didn't want me to. Um, People purposely took the opportunities away from me to not show how head and shoulders above everybody I was. So, shit happens like that. But that never stopped me from working, you know. So as I got older, I kept working. I still work out every day. I actually didn't work out today because I strained my hamstring yesterday. But every day is a workout. Every day. First thing in the morning before I go to work. And I've learned over the years, that mentality gave my son some natural gifts. Not just the ones I had, but the ones that I worked to get. So that's one thing. Intellectually, I had to work. Smart kid, smart adult. But because of poverty, I I couldn't afford breakfast a lot of times. I was sick as when I was in high school in particular because of poverty. Like I played sports and I worked in the morning. It was winter time and I lived in a like an apartment with my mother and I wanted out of the hood. So I did whatever it took to get to college. I did whatever it took in a legal way, in the right way. I didn't do anything illegal or nothing like that. But I was there was a point where I was sick because it was winter time. The water was cold. I used to wash my clothes by hand because I couldn't go to a laundromat per se, because especially in the wintertime in Chicago, I had to walk everywhere. I didn't get that kind of assistance or help, And my mother, for some odd reason, wanted me to put the fan, the box fan in my room to dry off my clothes, even though we had 3 rooms and it was only 2 of us. So I was taking cold showers, washing my clothes in cold water, and drying them with a box fan in my room, which ultimately gave me walking pneumonia. And I wasn't really eating breakfast because there were times where we didn't afford breakfast. So I and I would still get up early in the morning and sometimes go to morning practices if we had them. And if we had meets, whether they be wrestling or track, I would walk to the school, and even in the wintertime, because there was, spring track and wrestling was in the winter, to compete. But intellectually, sometimes I was beat. I had to work on memorization because when you're sick and you're tired and you're hungry, your brain doesn't work properly. So I use that as a way to um, try to memorize as much as possible because I wasn't feeling good, which ultimately helped me in college because when I was able to actually eat on a regular basis, um, I my grades improved more in college than they did in high school because of that. But there came a certain point when I had to work like 2 jobs while I was trying to play sports, and I wasn't eating again, and I really wasn't sleeping. I didn't sleep from Sunday to Thursday because of the jobs and classes and and the workouts. And that memorization kicked back in because at that time when I was working, um, things had fell apart. So I really couldn't afford books. I worked to pay tuition, but I couldn't afford books. So all that memorization kicked in again, and I was able to. I think my last 3 semesters, I took like 21 hours, 18 hours, and I think I finished with like 15 hours or whatever. And that particular time, without sleeping from Sunday to Thursday, without being able to afford books, notebooks, and memorization, I had to work to get there. And mind you, I wasn't eating as well, so of course my physicality dropped. All the sports I wanted to play, that shit fell through because everybody else was eating 3 times a day and getting 8 hours of sleep. I wasn't. Um, but I never stopped working. And in that time, I was left homeless, and I never stopped working. I graduated, uh, and I remember I didn't go to my graduation because my family was the people that left me homeless because I was living with them, but I was paying room and board, and they just up to move out of town. Just told me, hey, you got a friend, you might want to stay with them. So it made the situation worse, but I never quit, never stopped working. Um, Worked my way to get an apartment. Struggle, just 1 bedroom apartment with a TV and a bedroom set. I did that for years. I never stopped. Kept working. Got a job. Got a job maybe 2 months after I graduated college. So got worked at that job. Really been working ever since. Um, Kept working. Got another apartment. Actually got actually I got that apartment before I got the job. I actually got evicted from that apartment the week I graduated college because they were Hispanic and I was black, and they were trying to make the apartment complex mostly Hispanic. So uh, they gave me all kinds of hell. I basically got kicked out for paying my rent, And when I went, and when they evicted me in the court, the judge was like, "How the hell you gonna evict a person for paying their rent?" And I paid them. I actually paid them the rent twice for both months, and they gave me both checks back. And then they wanted the money, and the judge was like, "No, because where I'm at, you can't refuse a payment and then ask for the payment." So I just wanted to move into another apartment. Uh, but I kept working. Um, During that time, worked some more. Got another apartment. Stayed there for a few years. Um, Worked hella hard. I worked 6 days a week. Um, then I basically got a promotion at the job and got a bump in pay, and I worked 5 days a week. And that was a good time because at that time that apartment kind of helped me out because my grandmother came because of Katrina, and I was able to give her a place to stay because you know Katrina was a bad storm, and kept working. I wasn't the flyest guy, I wasn't the coolest guy, I wasn't the cutest guy, I wasn't the biggest guy, and I didn't care because at least I had food on the table. And kept working. Grandmother got in her place or whatever. She couldn't go back to her place because she had cancer, and they had mold because of the storm, so that was out of the question. Um, and actually, in my home, I got that because I kept working because my grandmother's condition got worse, and she really needed to go to doctors, and I was like, I'm gonna get this house because I was looking into a house anyways. I was looking to get a house, so I got the house. I was like, well, you can come. I wanted her to come stay with me because I was probably the best equipped out of everybody to take care of her, especially where I moved to and the doctors where I'm at. It's cool, but she died not too long after I got the house, so I never got a chance to do that. But even after that, I kept working. Same thing with my kid. You know, felt like I got set up to have a baby, but that didn't stop me from working. Uh, Kept working, not working just a job, working to improve myself. Worked on had got I was in the music industry in a sense because I had an intern with Universal in college that I lost because I got homeless because I was homeless in college. But I kept working. I found some dudes to make music with. That was cool for a time, but it didn't work out. But I kept working. I still wanted to make music, so I wound up hooking up with a friend of mine. We made 2 albums and kept working. I mean, that didn't per se pan out because of the situation. Um, the book that I was talking about, that's because I felt like people needed it, so I kept working. So you gotta, I've never, I'm personally never content in who I am or where I'm at because I feel like you always have to get better and do better. I must say sometimes I'm probably too hard on myself because I came from what some consider nothing to some people consider I got a lot now. And me, um, I've never slowed down to smell any roses, so I don't know. Because the way I look at it, if you stop working, there will be nothing to smell. But what I'm saying is ultimately, um, even in relationships, girls used to tell me what I wasn't and what I wasn't good enough and what I wasn't doing that was good enough. I thought some of it was bullshit, but ultimately I used it as ways to improve myself, so I kept working. And over the years now, I'm at a pretty good space where people don't want to admit that all the negativity they gave to me, I turned it into something positive. And I think now I am at a space where some people who felt like I was always not good enough look at me like I'm too good now and they hate me. But that doesn't stop me from working because it's not about that really. It's about the idea that to be the best you can be, you're going to deal with obstacles. But now you have to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable in turning your negatives into positives. You have to be comfortable in the fact that things are not going to go your way. You're going to have to try to make things happen. And even if things don't happen the way you want them to happen, you're going to still have to push at it and work at it And by no means are you a finished product and everything's finished. And by no means are you never going to be successful. You just might have a longer road than others. That's how I look at it. So I'm out with this one. Peace.